Well, we are speaking to the Deputy President, William Ruto, on this very important season of our country when we are marking 50 years of independence. Thank you very much, Bwana DP, for this joining us on this interview. It's an important season for our country, and it falls on your shoulders, of course, together with the President, to lead the country at such a historically significant period. How is that?
Well, I think as you would say, it's quite a moment in the history of our country. 50 years after independence is long enough for us to have defined ourselves as a country. We have quite a bit of history now behind us. And we've had our successes, we've had our failures and challenges. But I think by and large, without being too harsh on ourselves, we have done well. We could have done better though, but that does not mean that nothing has happened.
Do you feel that burden of responsibility that, look, we should have been somewhere else and we are not, we need to do it now?
Absolutely. Every morning, it goes through my mind. We should have done many things by now. Of course, comparing ourselves with other countries that started almost the same time as us.
But one gets the sense that there is a lot of uncertainty in many sectors in government, that you're facing tremendous odds. We have a new constitution that is just being implemented, and there are all kinds of demands that are coming, demands on the government, people wanting better pay. For instance, there is the health workers strike that is going on, which is about devolution, but bottom line, there is a money question to it. And we've been speaking a lot about this question of wages and public expenditure. Is our constitution too expensive, or are we being unreasonable as a people?
No, I think the new constitution presents challenges that are positive. Challenges because some hard decisions have to be made. Old ways have to be worked on and changed. And you know very well that the culture of status quo, people want things to continue the same. They cannot continue the same. We have a new constitution. We have to implement every article and every page and every clause of the new constitution. And as a government, we are going to be faithful in the implementation of the constitution. And we were having discussions with county governments the other day, and we are telling them they must begin to spend the money. They wanted money. Now we have upwards of 50, 60 billion lying in central bank, money that is supposed to be spent by county governments. Now the debate is changing. We are telling them, now it's time for you to show your leadership, the assemblies and the executives, to roll out plans. There are issues, as you've said, of wage bill and running an efficient government. Maybe there is a debate. People, whenever we think or talk of an efficient government, people think of retrenchment. That isn't the way we are looking at it. We are looking at
In talk of lean, someone said that means fewer people. Plain language.
What we are looking at is the way to run an efficient government is not only to reduce staff. What we are saying is we have staff that were central government staff. We have staff that belong to county councils. Then we have now staff that are being recruited by county governments. We are saying before we enlarge that recruitment, we must first take stock of the staff that we have, place them appropriately in the areas that they can serve before we bring on board additional staff. That is the rationalization we are talking about, rationalizing the resources that we have, the staff that we have. So there is a whole array of what we are doing to get to rationalize government expenditure so that we reduce. Let me just state this point, so that we reduce on the money that we use on wages and operation and maintenance, and release more money to development issues. Let me tell you, Joe, 70% of all the resources of government today is spent on paying salaries and operation and maintenance. Only 30% go to matters of building roads, matters of water, electricity, and an array of development issues, infrastructure issues. That is what we are seeking to cut down.
So one of the issues that then immediately comes, I mean, how on earth are you ever going to do that without letting some people go? I mean, there are people who are watching right now and thinking, is my job safe? Because at some point, I mean, whether it's companies or whatever, there's a point you say, these people are simply too many. Is there an assurance, or is there something that can happen down the road?
What we are saying is there is a process that is going to be undertaken by both the national government and the county governments that will make sure that we rationalize government expenditure. Government expenditure is not necessarily staff. We've said staff is one component. The SRC is working on a scheme where we will look at who is earning what in a scale that we don't disproportionately pay other people as opposed to others. Number two, we are looking at the parastatal sector. We have now created a framework where we are looking at every parastatal. There are parastatals that are duplicating responsibilities. We've said we have 250 parastatals. We want to rationalize, put the ones that are commercial in one end. And for your information, for a very long time, money that is collected by parastatals believe that is their money. We are telling them that is not their money. That is money that belongs to the people of Kenya. That money should be brought back to Treasury so that we can use that money to build roads, so that we can move the country to the next level.
Let's talk about the question of corruption. How serious is that as a problem in this government, if at all, in your estimation?
Of course, we have seen signs that people want to relapse back to the issues that happened in the past. And we have told the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission to the ethics, now that it is properly formulated, that, and we have told right from the cabinet downwards that those who think that they can enrich themselves using the positions that they have, or those who think that they are friends of people in government and therefore they can abuse the positions they have, they are in for a rude shock. And we are absolutely clear that going forward, Kenyans must get value for the taxes they pay.
What about people who say there ought to be a much stronger message? For instance, we saw Parliament pass a censure motion against a cabinet secretary, Charity Ngilu, and a lot of people thought that there would be a strong message from the government saying Parliament has spoken, we are going to act on this, but we didn't quite see that. What sort of assurance can you give Kenyans out there who are thinking maybe we are just doing the same thing all over again?
I don't think there could have been a stronger message as it got. This is a parliament that is largely Jubilee, and they discharged their responsibility. They pointed out what they thought was wrong. The minister did. The minister actually reversed those decisions. There couldn't have been a greater admission that if anybody goes wrong in this government, and we are talking about government did not lose money, let's put it, there was a decision that wasn't within the parameters of the law or the constitution. That decision, on realizing that the minister had made a mistake, she actually reversed those decisions. And now she's working with the Public Service Commission to make sure that, much as we want to create a mechanism in the Ministry of Lands that actually delivers, because we have assigned the ministry a clear mandate, and the minister has tried. You know, we have given her a mandate that we must issue 3 million titles in the next 5 years. And she came back to us and said, for me to be able to do that, we need to have an organogram that is sensitive to the delivery of service. The only problem she did was she proposed that organogram outside the provisions of the law. She has gone back and working now with the public service because we wanted a system that works.
Wasn't there a larger critique that in so doing, the cabinet secretary was meddling in the work of the National Land Commission?
We have since made it very clear to the ministry and the National Land Commission that they should work together. And believe you me, as things stand today, they are in tandem.
The other day we saw riots by members of the Nubian community from Kibera, and they were saying the president was supposed to issue them with titles and he didn't. What happened?
By the way, that was part of our grand plan to make sure that we regenerate the city. We have a whole plan around the whole of Eastlands, to grow it afresh. Eastlands is a place where we had a good city housing, very old. But now we are looking. We have a new plan. We are working with the county government of Nairobi. We believe that the whole of that Eastlands, we can get another maybe 200,000-300,000 flats out of Eastlands. Make sure that the people who are there become the first beneficiaries. But because we can go up 20 stories, we will have many Kenyans to have decent housing. We want to do the same in Kibera. Kibera is one of the biggest slums we have. We have already worked on surveying and mapping, and we are almost there. And the reason why the president did not present the title is because we want all the other communities in Kibera to understand that it is not just the Nubians. We have many other communities in Kibera. And even as we give this title, we have also mapped out the rest of Kibera with the same plan to make sure that those living therein will also get a regeneration of the area, and they become beneficiaries.
Let's talk a little bit about the question of democracy or democratic space in the country. And over the last few weeks, this government has been accused of many things. One, of gagging the media, of trying to muzzle the NGOs, and there is a growing perception that this government is intolerant to divergent views.
We have no intention, we have no ability to gag the media. We have no plan. It doesn't benefit us in any way. We want the country to move forward. The new constitution guarantees the rights of every citizen and every institution. We believe that the elaborate and robust Bill of Rights in our constitution is the heart of our new Kenya, that every citizen, every discipline and every institution must have their rights guaranteed. The only limitation to my rights or your rights is that as I enjoy my rights, I shouldn't infringe on your rights. I think that's the only limitation. And
that limitation already well recognized in all existing laws, including the Constitution. But there has been concern, especially with the kicker bill, as it has been known, which Parliament passed, taken to the President, who returned it. But then the feeling in the media is that there's still fairly draconian provisions in even the revised one that the President brought, such as the fine on journalists, the 20 million shilling for media houses, and the feeling is that even the tribunal itself is not, the media has no guarantee of the fairness of this tribunal, or indeed its independence from the government of the day.
What the president recommended to Parliament, it was recommended 1 million shillings maximum. He reduced it to 500,000 shillings maximum. And when you say a maximum of 500,000, it means that an intelligent person will say, okay, if this journalist earns 50,000, is it fair to put a fine of $500,000 on him? And I'm sure the people who will be making these decisions are rational human beings.
I think the contention there was that he transferred certain powers that Parliament was giving itself to the executive.
What the Constitution says is that the regulating body must be free of government or commercial interest, right? And therefore, all that was done is, apart from representations by the media, then we expanded it to include the representations of the consumers of media, religious organizations, consumer organizations. I mean, so that whatever decision is made has the balance
why do you want to have so many prescriptions, including fines and things like that, in statute about regulating the media, whereas the media is really been asking for self-regulation? Why do you want to be so prescriptive as to even mention certain fines when you're talking about in law?
Assuming that there is something absolutely wrong that escaped those of us in the executive, and maybe Parliament did not address it. And if there is something absolutely wrong with it, and we are saying we are all human, we can make mistakes, or we can make errors of judgment. I mean, there is a mechanism to address it. The law has been made, but it doesn't mean that cannot be amended. Then even the law that has been made, it can also be challenged in court. And a court decision can say, you overreached here, you overstepped here. This is unconstitutional. And I believe the president tried to remove the unconstitutional parts as much as was practically possible. And if there are some that are still outstanding, I am sure a competent court of law will be able to help us out. And this is a live thing. We can continue discussing about it. But one guarantee I want to give you, Joe, and the media is that this government has no intention, has no plan, has no ability to gag the media. We want to work with the media. We want to work with every other organization and institution to further the interests of the country.
Thank you very much. Let's draw down this a little bit. You hold the position of Deputy President, as the first Deputy President, really, this institution having evolved quite a bit over the years. We've known the Vice Presidency, as it was, as a very troublesome position in this country. In fact, just going through my research, almost every Vice President had a lot of problems with their boss. Just on reflection, as someone who holds that position, how significant is the change in the Constitution with regard to the stature of that office and its actual function?
Well, I think the difference is significant. That now I don't have a constituency to run. I concentrate my energy and time on focusing on matters of state. That I have been elected alongside the president. I have not been appointed. And that my role and responsibilities are now in the Constitution. And thirdly, as opposed to a vice president who was subordinate and advisory, the deputy president is a constitutional office that has responsibilities, that is complementary, and that functions alongside the president as a presidency. And it gives, I think, the presidency more latitude to engage on matters that are national. That between the president and myself, we can say, okay, maybe do focus here and here and here as I do X, Y, and Z. And that is further complemented by the personal relationship that exists between me and the president.
In your arrangement, whereas I've heard you emphasize that you have only one government, but the reality, of course, is that coming into this, you were two separate parties. And once in a while, I've heard some of what we in the media like to call your lieutenants saying that they're not getting the 50-50 thing that they expected. And I've heard you talk about Nusum Kate. What's that about? Because it's a sense of deja vu, quite frankly, for a lot of people in this country when they hear noises like that coming out of an arrangement such as the one you have.
Well, I think some of that is really a hangover from the past. And, our history, especially from 2003, was informed by, I was shortchanged. I didn't get what was promised. I did not, my community did not get this. My side did not get that. And I think that is what we've been used to for the last 10 years. So there is a hangover of sorts from that particular era. This is a different arrangement. In here, I cannot blame the president for anything that is not done by this government. If there is anything that goes wrong with this government, I am as guilty as the president. If there is anything that goes right in this government, it will be attributed to the president as much as myself. So the people who believe that I should be complaining are completely misplaced. Because this government, having been elected on a joint ticket with the president, I am as responsible as the president is. It's just as simple as that. And there is nothing that you can complain about to the president that you cannot complain about to me, So I think it's just as I said, something that people have been used to doing things in a certain way. But we are telling them things have changed. Yeah? And I will take responsibility for the things that are done right or are done wrong by this government, because I have been elected. And I have sufficient latitude constitutionally to make sure that whatever is wrong is righted, and whatever is right gets